Hi, this is Eric Leiser, and this is Behind the Animation for Glitch in the Grid. Before Glitch in the Grid came about, I was in this period after finishing a lot of animation I did for Imagination, well, all the animation, and starting to work on pre-production for this film Infinity that we were going to do in Iceland. And through the storyboards and my journals, I was able to put together a lot of animation techniques that I wanted to do in this large feature film that we had quite a budget for, and I was very excited about that. So when that film fell through, I was basically left at a 0 point where I had to think, well, okay, I want to leave these animation ideas for Infinity, but what do I have left? So I started absolutely from scratch, thinking about new techniques that would fit in with the film we were trying to make. And this would be animation that would take a magical realism approach and be commenting on the reality elements of the film. So I started out assembling a lot of found objects, began with some simple puppet animation in interesting outdoor locations, because from the onset I didn't want to make any sets. I wanted to bring the puppets outside. I also did a lot of cutout animation that I used. I propped up the cutouts and I tried to add elements like fire and setting the puppets on fire while I was animating, which was very hard. I also explored liquid animation, where I would basically take what people would do in the 60s and 70s, and they still do, liquid light shows like rock concerts, and try to use that technique along with some real blood vessels and some clay to emulate synapse electrical reactions going on in the brain, especially during the panic attack sequence. I wanted to show what was going on neurologically, because I've always been very interested in the brain and neurology and MRIs and a lot of microscopic imagery in scientific journals of synapses and of animals and humans. So that was a great thing to explore. Then once I moved to England, I wanted to yet again do animation outdoors, mixed with time lapse. So I assembled a lot of objects there and puppets that I was, especially with the dove in particular, wanting to do a lot of flight. On the Glitch in the Grid, most of the animation is about flight and the Holy Spirit flying, the dove flying through the spiritual inner landscape of the soul. And flight in animation is quite difficult. It would either be I would actually fasten the puppet to sticks that I would put into the ground, or I would have aluminum wire connected to the camera, connected to the tripod, connected to the puppet that I would have to key out in Photoshop, which was very tedious. Took many hours of work. But I tried to do in camera as much as possible, especially when I started to move on to landscape animation. The largest animation I did for this film was about the size of a football field, and that was the Lemniscati. It's an outdated mathematical, people see as a figure 8 mathematical symbol that I recreated in this field with landscaper spikes. The structure was made out of rope and balloons, and I was spinning on a 360 axis to do a 360 degree movement. And there was a windstorm that, because I was above the sea in this park, and this windstorm came over when the sun started to set and blew the whole thing away many times, and I was like struggling to get it back, and it was this epic struggle. Definitely the hardest animation I've ever done, and as far as I know, the largest animation that's ever been done to date in film that I've seen. Could be wrong, but I haven't attempted anything to that size since, even though I plan to in the future. So the primary animation technique which I developed for Glitch in the Grid was landscape animation. And landscape animation was something that I initially wanted to do because I was looking at the beautiful English countryside, and I thought, well, I want to see this move. I want to see animation go across the entire countryside, and I have to figure out how to do that. Of course, later on, after I'd been doing quite a bit, I was researching more about land art and how prehistoric its origins are, and how man has always kind of wanted to put his mark on the earth. But this, I felt like, was taking it a step beyond and literally moving the earth and creating land art, but putting it in motion. And I still feel like that this is a technique that I would like to continue to develop over and over again. I feel like it's the most pioneering technique in this film.